Gaius Julius Caesar didn't just conquer empires, he mastered the art of leadership. And guess what? The same 3 roles that made him so incredibly successful have to be mastered by today's leaders as well. Ready to lead like a modern Caesar? Caesar didn't just lead armies in a command and control manner, he persuaded and inspired people. Caesar was able to pass a land reform bill which redistributed public land amongst the poor and his veterans from the Gallic Wars, despite strong resistance in the Senate. How did he even achieve it? It sounds simple, but it is not easy. Caesar was very skilled in assuming the second role we will dive in now, the role of a communicator. You heard it many times before already. Communication is key, and it really is. There's no good leader who is a poor communicator. At the beginning of my career, I was always preferring hard skills like maths or programming, rather than communication soft skills. This changed significantly over time, as I learned that communication is so important in our daily lives. To be very specific about the communicator role, let's break it down into 4 essential communication sub-roles. The first one, the active listener. As a communicator, your first priority must be active listening. It forms the foundation not only for meaningful conversations, but also for strong collaborations. There's no such thing as a great communicator with poor listening skills. As the term suggests, being an active listener means engaging with the speaker, asking the right questions to ensure full understanding. There's a German saying, wer fragt führt, which means the one who asks the questions also leads. Thoughtful questioning enhances comprehension, especially when discussing requirements. Consider these questions as examples. How will this feature impact your business if we implement it? Which challenges will it solve? Clarifying the business context and purpose behind requirements is crucial. We have seen the importance of the active listener role when we first discussed the integrator's role. If something is unclear, speak up and ask. Recognize if fear is holding you back and use mindfulness to overcome these barriers. Everyone who requests something from you owes you at least a reasonable explanation. The better you understanding the why behind the requirement and the better you can communicate it to your team, the more motivated they will be to support it. Imagine assigning your team the task of integrating a new component into your webshop application. At first, they may see only the complexity and effort involved, feeling little motivation to proceed. However, if you explain the bigger picture, that this update will introduce multiple payment methods and thus reducing the number of lost customers in the checkout process, they will recognize its value. In the end, active listening helps you build allies for implementing customer requirements. Don't assume your project team will support you just because they are part of the project. Gaining buy-in starts with truly listening and understanding your stakeholders. The next communicator role, the storyteller. Facts alone won't necessarily win people over. Stories will. A compelling story makes your message memorable and persuasive. A strong communicator gathers valuable insights through interactions and conveys ideas in a clear, structured, and engaging way. To do this effectively, you need to construct a coherent narrative. Storytelling isn't about inventing fiction, absolutely not. It's about shaping real events into a structured, meaningful story. You reconstruct the facts based on what has happened and what you have observed. If people can follow your story, they are far more likely to follow you and your vision. But how can you do it? Imagine you need to convince your business partners to develop a new service for your clients. First, start with the facts. We estimate this service could unlock 5 million euro in revenue. Second, provide the history and context to align your audience. A year ago, we didn't know how to develop these services or manage the risks involved. And third, use an analogy to make it unforgettable. Back then, we were trying to sail the wide seas without a map. But today, we have the knowledge and tools to navigate successfully. We now have the map to find the treasure. This bold analogy burns your message into the minds of your audience. You might hesitate to use such storytelling techniques in a business setting, but I assure you, you will not be forgotten. Be bold, be unconventional, be authentic. In the end, the best story wins. The next one, which is closely linked to the storyteller, the presenter, sees every opportunity to present when given the stage. Practice your presentation skills as often as possible and actively incorporate feedback to improve. I've sat through far too many boring presentations that nearly lulled me to sleep. This usually happens when your audience doesn't grasp the why or when the context isn't really clear communicated. Now, here comes the last communication sub-role, the dialogue leader. A dialogue leader addresses issues directly with coworkers and clients instead of acting them out through frustration, stress, or behind-the-scenes complaints. For example, imagine you rely on a colleague's work, but he has already missed his deadlines twice. As a result, you had to work overtime to meet your own deadlines. Now, instead of bottling up frustration or speaking negatively about his reliability behind his back, you choose to engage in a respectful and constructive dialogue. First, share your facts. You have missed your deadlines twice. Second, share your perspective. Because of these delays, I had to work overtime, which I find difficult. And third, invite him to share his perspective. Can you share what happened on your end? By combining both viewpoints, you can discuss solutions and agree on how he can meet deadlines in the future. This approach ensures that critical issues are addressed openly and professionally. Conflict conversations are never easy, but they are essential. Unresolved tensions only grow over time. That's why a good communicator steps into the role of a dialogue leader, proactively addressing challenges before emotions and frustration reach a level that makes resolution even harder.